Hello, welcome to lesson 7 of the tutorial on the design and implementation of Soccer League Transfer Portal using server-side Blazor. I am Benjamin Fadina. In this lesson, we shall continue with the customization of the application's Crud pages. Now, the first thing we are going to do is to ensure that our SQL Server service is running. So we do that by searching for services. Excuse me. We do that by searching for services. You click on the services app link. After doing that, you look for the SQL Server instance called Ibukunlua. That's what we've been using in this lesson. It is running, so we could close services. Then the next thing is I'm going to start Management Studio. So I search for Management Studio. Click on the Management Studio app. And then the next thing I'm going to connect using these credentials. So I click connect. Now, having started Management Studio, I'm going to start Radzen. Search for it, click on the link for it as well. Now that Radzen has started, I click on Soccer League Transfer app under my applications, close the window. Now, we implemented the confirm delete functionality last lesson, but I did not test it. So I'm going to start this lesson by testing the confirm delete functionality. So I click run. So I'm going to sign in now. I type in send, type in the password. So I click login. Now I go to users link, and I'm going to attempt to delete Rivaldo's record. So I click on the delete icon. So it says please confirm if you want to delete user. So say delete. And off it goes. So now the delete functionality is working fine. Now there is still one more thing we're going to implement on the user CRUD pages, and that is authorization. We are going to implement access control on the user's CRUD pages before we go to another page is customization. Now, first I'll go to Radzen. I will stop the application. I'll go to my applications, and then I'll click on show application directory link under Soccer League Transfer app. Then I'll double click on my Visual Studio solution file. So here is Visual Studio. Opening the project. Now, in order to customize access control for the delete Crud pages, first of all, I need to determine which rows I want to have access to the um, user's Crud pages. Let's go back to our database for a moment. Click on databases. I will expand Soccer League DB. I'm going to expand tables on that Soccer League DB. Then I will right click on rows table, DBO rows table. And I'm going to select the command that says select top 1000 rows. Now, the only rows I want to have access to the user's Crud pages is site admin. So we are implementing the business rule that only site admin should be able to create new users. That is why. So how do we now implement the business rule that only site admin should be able to create new users? We go back to Visual Studio. Now let's have a peek at club detail.razor.cs. I go to Solution Explorer. Under Pages, I will expand on club detail.razor.cs. I'll click on it. Now we implemented this method called check user status. Now in club detail.razor.cs, what this method does is that it checks if anonymous user has signed in. Now I'm going to copy this method. See. I'm going to copy this method. I'll put it at the back of add users. So come here, add users.razor.cs. Control V. I need to inject authentication state provider. So I'll import this package. So need to import this package called Microsoft ASP.NET Core.Component Authorization. I need to import the package for the custom authentication provider class, which is Soccer League transfer hub.data. Now, here we are going to check if user has any claims and see if user belongs to site admin role. So we'll modify this one to become if users. So sorry, first thing first. Say if our user state is equal to await custom authentication provider or get authentication state async. This was a method that we implemented as far back as lesson 3, get authentication state async. This is the implementation of it. In get authentication state async, we get the roles the user belongs to. So I will check if the user is authenticated. So now I'm back to add users.tracer. So how do we check if user has any claims and whether the user belongs to side admin role? We say if user state.user.claims.any and user state dot user dot is in row is in what row? Site admin. So what will happen? Do nothing. Otherwise, redirect to login page. Now let me save all my files. Now we now go to call this method in the load event. So copy the name of this method, check user status. I'll go back to Radzen. I look for add users.razor. So I open this app. Here we have add users.razor. So I'll click on the plus button under load event handlers. Select action type, execute C#. I'm going to say the code is await, check user status. And I click done. No, sorry, made some mistake there. Go back to the event. Now this is the code. I'll promote this method to the top of the list. Yes. Please check user status. I'll promote it to the top of the list. Then I click done. I have not implemented any try catch inside check user status. So let me go ahead, say try. Catch. Exception. Yes. Let me copy this in the try block. Here, I'll just say notification service dot notify notification severity dot error. Application error. Summary. And error also called. Please contact site admin. The duration of the display of the error message, 5,000 milliseconds or 5 seconds. Now, I will implement same functionality for some other pages. I'll go to Solution Explorer. I want edit users to have the same user authorization check. So let me put it here. So I go to edit users page. I click on undo load event icon. Click on the plus button there, select action type, execute C#, await, check user status. I'm done. So I promote await check user status to the top of the list. Once again, I click done. Then I'll go to confirm delete users page. Let's confirm delete user. I'll double click on confirm delete user tracer. Once again, I will implement the check user status functionality there. Then I go back to Radzen. I'll look for confirm delete user. That's the page. I'll go to the load event handler, click on plus, select action type, execute C#, await, check user status. Then I will promote, I will check user status to the top of the list. I click done. Last but not the least, I'll go to users list page and implement the check user status functionality. Users list page. So here is users list page. I expand it, and I'm going to expand on users.razor. So now I save all my code files again. I'll go back to Radzen. I'll look for the users list page. This is the users list page. I'll go to the load event. I'll click on plus button, select action type, execute C#. I'll wait, check user status. I'll promote check user status to the top of the code pile. Click done there. Now, once again, I go back to Visual Studio 2019. And then I save all my code file. I go back to Radzen. I will start running the application. While I'm doing that, let me go back to Visual Studio. I'm going to run a query to see the rows that all my application users are in. I clean what I have there, I right click. So say design query in editor. So I'm clicking on users, click on users in rows, and I click on rows. Click add, and I click close. So I'm going to select my user ID, I'm going to select my username, then I select role name, and I click OK. After that, I'll click execute. So as a Wenger is a club manager. The guy who is the site admin is we. So let's see whether Arsene Wenger still has access to the users Crud pages. So our application has started in Microsoft Edge. I type Arsene Wenger. So I type Arsene Wenger's password. I click login. So I go to users. Now it redirects me back to login page. Now let me sign in as Muyik. Type in my password, which is that. I click login. This time around I click on it also redirects me. Let's see. It's inside admin. So what's the issue? We need to debug. So to debug, we stop the application in Radzen. We'll go to Visual Studio. We'll put a breakpoint. First of all, we delete all the existing breakpoints we have by going to debug, and then we say delete all breakpoints. You want to delete all breakpoints, you say yes. Then I put a breakpoint at the beginning of check user status in my users.razor.cs. Then I'm going to run the application in IIS Express. So I'm signing in as Moyek. So I type in my password. Click login, takes me here. Now I'm clicking on the users page. It comes here. So we hit the breakpoint. So I say function F10. So let me get user state. Let's see what's a user state. So we have identities. So we have two claims. The user's name, and under the claims, the user's name is Muyika and is inside admin. Oh, this is where the issue is. The spelling of site admin is, I'm going to stop. The spelling of site admin is, the A is uppercase. So let's implement that. Site admin, add users. Site admin. We've implemented in users, confirm, delete, add users. Okay, so let's look for edit user and implement same change. So here is edit user, site admin. So I save all my code files. Now I'm heading back to Radzen to run this application. Once again, application has started Microsoft Edge. I make an attempt to sign in as Wenger. Password, type, click login. So I go to users page, bounces me. Now I sign in as Moyek. I type in my password. I go to users page. It allows me. So I click on add users page. It allows me. I double click on the record to edit. It allows me. I attempt to delete. It allows me. So that's sweet. So next order of business, Um, I'll go to gender stable. I click on genders. Now when I click on add and I try to save, let's click save, say gender name is required. Let's add the third gender, hermaphrodite. Say save. An hermaphrodite is someone who has both male and female sexual organs. Okay, now let's customize the gender Crud pages. What customizations do we need to do for the gender Crud pages? The first customization is that we are going to implement access control. Now to implement access control on the gender Crud pages, I want only site admin to have access to that as well. So let me just copy this. Now, after copying, check user status method, and I click, say close all documents. I go to Solution Explorer. Under pages, I'm going to look for add gender.razor. I'll expand it. I'll select add gender.razor.cs. Paste in that. I will import all the necessary namespaces. I go to edit gender.razor. I repeat the same trick. I go to genders page. I repeat same trick. So then I go to Radzen. Click on agenda. plus button. I'll promote that handler to the top. Under action type, I select execute C#. Await, check user status. Let me copy it because I did it. So I click done. I go to edit gender. I'll click on undo the load event. Click plus. Execute C# as the action type. I will check user status. I promote it to the top of the pile. I click done. I click on genders. I'll click on undo the load event. I'll click plus to add a new event handler. Select action type as execute C#. Paste in await check user status. I promote that to the top of the list. I click done. I'm going to stop. I'm going to close this. I'm going to start Radzen again. Open the app. I'm going to save all this. So let me run the changes that I've made in Visual Studio. So I click on run in IS Express. So I'm going to start it as a worker. Type in my password. When I try to attempt, I'm going to attempt accessing the gender list pages, bounces me back. So when I log in as Muik, who is a site admin, click on genders. It allows me to have access. One more piece of the action, we are going to implement the confirm delete functionality. Let's see whether we can edit. Double click. Let me change gender name to bisexual. I click save. It works. Let me double click on it and change it back to hermaphrodite. I click save. It works. So I stop the application in Visual Studio. Now to implement the confirm delete functionality, I'll do the following. First of all, I'll go to the genders list page. Oh, no. First of all, I'll go to the edit gender page and I click on it. Excuse me. So I'll say duplicate. after duplicating, I have a copy called copy of edit gender. I'll right click on it. I'll go to properties. I will change the name to confirm delete gender. I click save. Now I'll delete the required validator. I'll click on the text box and delete it as well. And I'll go to the toolbox. I'll look for the label control. Drop in label. And I'll say the text property for this label will be $ lowercase gender dot gender name. Now I click on the button, save button. I'll change the text to delete gender. Then I'll change the icon name to close. Then I'll go to the outline for the page. I'll click on the first row. I'll right click on it and say duplicate. And then I'll click on the second column on the first row. Sorry, what have I done? Sorry, I'll delete this. So I'm back to where I was. So I'll click on the first row under form 0. Or I click on it and say duplicate. Then I'll click on the column that houses the label for gender name. I'll right click on that column and I say delete. I will select this label for gender name and delete it. Then in toolbox, I'm going to search for heading. I drop my heading, go to properties for my heading, I change it to H1. Then I change the text to gender. I go back to outline. I select the row that is housing the gender heading, duplicate it. I'll select this new heading. I go to properties. I'll change the text to confirm. If you want to delete this gender record. I'll go back to properties, change the style to heading 3. Then I'm going to drag a bit until everything falls on first line. Now there is an issue here. Okay, the text here is gender name. Okay, here is gender name. Good. Now, after configuring the visual elements, I will go back to Visual Studio. I will go to Solution Explorer. I will look for confirm delete gender.razor. I will expand it. I will open confirm delete gender.razor.cs. Then custom method to delete gender. Uh, Private async task weak delete gender. Try catch. Catch. Exception ex notification service dot notify notification severity dot error summary error on delete detail and error occurred. Duration 5000 milliseconds. Error occurred by deleting gender record. Here, I'm going to say await on data dot delete gender gender ID. The gender ID is a parameter that I've not created yet. I'm going to create it. Gender ID is a parameter that is yet to be created. Now, URI helper dot dot navigate to genders was load true. I save the code file. I go back to Radzen. This time around, I'll go to pages. I'll look for genders page. I'll click on the data grid. I'll go to columns. I'll click on the last column, which is for the delete button. I will scroll down. After scrolling down, I click on edit template. I'll select the button. I'll go to events. I will undo the click event. I will delete every stuff that is there. Then I'll add a new event handler and it's going to be open dialog. Now the page will be confirm the lead gender, the path, sorry. After picking the path as confirm the lead gender, I'm going to create a new parameter by clicking the plus button there. I'll name it gender ID. I'll determine this property to the template property for gender called gender ID. Then I click OK. I click done. Then I click on end template editing. I go back to Visual Studio. Let me close Visual Studio. Let me close the project and open it again. If I close solution, so I open on. Now you can see, okay, name gender ID. Okay. Let me say delete by gender dot gender ID. So here, getting the gender ID property of currently selected gender object. And passing it as parameter to the delete gender method. Okay. Now when I go, I'm going to go back to confirm delete gender. So when I go to undo the load event and I click on invoke on data.get gender by gender ID. If I click on data by this property, so it's seeing the page parameter now, which is gender ID. Okay, fine. What I was attempting to do was to see if it would get okay. It's seeing the page parameter now. This is my intention to pass in the page parameter. So it's seeing it now. So uh, passing the page parameter gender ID. So delete gender method. Okay, fine. So now to implement this method, I'll go to outline. I'll click on from 0. I'll click on events. I want to the submit event. I'm going to delete every stuff there. I'll click the plus button to add a new action type, which will be execute C#. Await what asynchronous method. We delete gender. So I click on done. Click on done. Now I'm going to run the entire project. So we have an error. So let's see what the error is. Oh, the name check user status does not exist. Okay. So what we does not exist in the current context. And what context is that? Confirm delete gender.razor.designer.cs. So what we do, we click stop. We go back to Visual Studio. We will copy the check user status method. We bring it into confirm delete gender component class. We import all necessary namespaces. We make sure we save all our code files in Visual Studio 2019. Then I go back again and I say run. I go back to Radzen. I say run. So our application is displayed. Log in as Wenger. Type in my password. Attempt to go to genders page. I'm not allowed. I log in as Muik. Type in my password. I go to genders page. I'm allowed. I try to change this to bisexual. I click save. It works. I attempt to delete. It says, do I want to delete the gender record? I click cancel. Press delete again. It says confirm delete gender. Confirm if you want to delete the gender record. I say delete gender record. And fine, it works. One more piece of business before we put uh, before we adjourn the lesson to the next session is this. I'm going to excuse me. I'm going to click on stop. Now, when I click on run, I run the project again. Now, note what happens. The application first goes to club details before it goes to login page. I do not want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new page, an empty page. So remember, to add a new page, you click on plus. So I select empty page, go to next. Let me change the layout to login. I'll change the name to redirect to login. I'm going to select it as my start page. I say save. Now I'll go to outline and I click on the page title in outline. I'll say delete. I navigate away from the page. I navigate back to it and now it's blank. I'll click on the page and I select events and then I select load event, and under action type I'll select navigate to page, and the path I'm navigating to will be login. So I click done. So I'm going to stop my app. I click run. Now the page is loading. We don't get to see the club details page again. We are taken straight to login. So that's fine. So on this note, we adjourn the lesson to the next session. Thank you.